Hi everyone, I'm Kirk Prime,
And I'm Donnie Lowry.
and we want to tell you about some work that we're going to be doing over the next year, but more than the work that we're going to tell you about. We simply want to invite you into a conversation thinking about,
Activating your life purpose.
yeah, juicy stuff, huh?
Yeah. So it's some people may know their life purpose or not know their life purpose, but the way you'll carry it out is by activating it through your body. So for example, I've had several activations in my life over these 57 years, and what I'm thinking about right now is when I attended was an esoteric workshop some 20 years ago having to do with psychic development, and after doing that workshop, pieces came together for me, and I wasn't expecting one result, which was I all of a sudden wanted to be a massage therapist. I'd never thought about it before, but I sort of got activated and then became a massage therapist, and I found that I had a gift at it and enjoy doing it. I don't think that it's my total overall purpose in life to be a massage therapist, although I do feel it's part of my overall purpose. So pictures start to form. And like I like to say, I think that we come into this lifetime with a spiritual closet full of spiritual wrapped gifts. And those gifts are available to us our whole lifetime, anytime we wish. But it's only through these activations that we go into that spiritual closet and pick out a gift and unwrap it and find out, oh my, I can be a massage therapist, and things that you're called to, but things that you were activated, that you had an activation, something that propelled you forward. Another experience was a very early one when I was a child. I had an activation, I think you can call it, when I was 5, 6 years old, and my parents would listen to classical music on the radio, and they'd play it in the house, and I would hear what I didn't know back then when I was 5 and 6, but they were Baroque concertos, violin and string concertos, and I thought they were the most beautiful thing in the world. I got so turned on by it. Really in my body, I got all, and I want to play. I want to play the viola. I mean, the viola, that is, why particularly, but that was what it was. I was activated. And here I am, 57 years later, or 50 years later, still working on my D major scale.
And if I can kind of input though, so here you had this activation, and after the activation, actually there was a wounded moment where your dad actually said you couldn't play.
Yeah, very unusual story for those kids that want to play the instrument. Usually, as you know, it's the parents that want you to do it, but no, in this case, they said that I shouldn't. I didn't, I didn't have time. It was too much stuff to worry about, but I insisted. I so wanted to play, and they allowed that.
Yeah. So part of the activation came a wounded story, and Donnie had to break through that wounded story, and of course now he's kind of, I think of him as a musical genius. So part of his gifts are just kind of one activation after another. So it's not like a stagnant thing.
No.
You have one activation and that's it for the rest of your life. I mean, I think, like Donnie, activations come in two ways. One is really out of our wholeness. So we come into the world and we have some gifts and talents and skills, and however you think of those things, and they're in our wholeness and we recognize them readily. And then some of them come out of our wounds. So for me, this story I tell all the time is I as a kid had a moment of sexual abuse, and of course that landed a story in my body that we did some of this body story work to set me free from. And the story for me was that I couldn't have pleasure without pain. And when I did that work and freed myself up, there was an activation for me that allowed me to become the healer that I had already been groomed for. So part of what I used to do as a little boy is I would hide in closets and under a tree that nobody else, the adults, could get to, and I would, in those spaces, though, I would listen. But I learned later, my listening wasn't just about auditory listening, but it was about energetic space and listening to what was going on around me, which has gifted me as the healer that I am. So part of the activation came out of my wound of the abuse and the skills that came out of that, that were so beautiful. So I love how, you know, the Africans used to have a saying that says, you know, at the edge of your wound is your blessing. And many of our activations are at the edge of our wound where the blessing springs forth. Juicy stuff,
Yes.
huh? So we are going to be teaching folks about body story life coaching, and we're going to go through these whole energy medicine track, peaceful warrior, body story experience, a specialty learning track. We'll tell you more about it later, but we wanted to start a conversation about thinking about activating your purpose and how are you activated and what's going to draw those gifts out, or as Donnie put it, make it so you can reach into that closet
Take out
and
a bunch
pull
of
out
gifts.
a bunch of gifts and unwrap them and get all hysterical like
Yeah.
he does. All right.
I just like the wrapping paper.
You do. All right, let's say namaste.